Welcome to another episode of the Caroline Schmid podcast. Today, we have an exciting interview going on with Randall. He actually was someone in my biogeometry class back in 2019, if I remember correctly. And we met there. We also then took the following class in the same year in Geneva, here in Switzerland. And if you call it not resonance, maybe you can call it resonance, but we don't use the word coincidence. We had so much fun practicing the biogeometry, so basically what we learned. And we were having fun because we actually had the same Airbnb. Like, we didn't ask each other where we're gonna stay in Geneva, and we booked the exact same Airbnb. Like, the Airbnb was like 4 or 5 rooms, and we both like had one room. And another guy was in that Airbnb. And while we were like practicing with the pendulum, he was starting to tell us how he does his drug job and how he ships drugs from, like, I think Spain to Switzerland, something like that. So that was interesting because it was a good black and white comparison, because we were learning about how to raise your vibration, how to increase the vibration in your home, stuff like that. And he was on the other side of good vibrations, I guess. But yeah, that was basically a very short introduction how we two know each other. Randall also works with energies. That's why we're here. He's going to tell us all about what he does. And yeah, welcome to the podcast, Randall. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you for having me, Caroline. It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, my name is Randy Peterson. I go by Randy now, actually, since we've met. But going back to the vibrational state of those two names. But yeah, I am a frequency medicine practitioner, an intuitive guide, and also a holistic lifestyle coach. And yeah, Caroline and I met at a very pivotal moment in my life. In 2018, I went down to Peru and sat with ayahuasca for 4 ceremonies in an effort to resolve my acute chronic depression and some other things that I was dealing with. At the time, I really did not enjoy my job as a civil engineer designing overhead power lines. And so I asked the medicine, what is my path to servitude? And she just said sacred geometry and multiples of 9. And so a couple days later, in the downtime between the first week that we sat with ayahuasca and the second week that we sat with Wachuma, which is basically the South American cousin of peyote, I was looking up books on sacred geometry because I was curious, and the book on biogeometry came up, which of course led to the training that we took in January of 2019 and met each other, and here we are today, 7 years later. It's crazy to think it's been that long already.
6?
Is it 6? Oh yeah. I still had 2018 in my head.
Yeah. So yeah, we met a little bit over 6 years ago in January. We then were in, was it Florida? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Florida.
exactly. Yeah. So we took the training actually with Dr. Robert Gilbert, who passed away in January of this year. So yeah, he was like, the trainings were not for, like, how do you say?
The faint of heart.
Exactly. Because he would talk through without, like, you couldn't even see that he was breathing. He was just like talking through, I don't know, like 10 hours straight. And like everything he said was amazing information. Like, also like how he was able to translate the energetics into an understandable word, where we can then not only understand and learn from him, but also put that into action. And now we helped ourselves, we helped a lot of other people to harmonize their homes. So yeah, what do you like specifically do now? What methods do you use to help people?
That's a great question. And it really all stems from that teaching from Dr. Robert J. Gilbert in biogeometry and some of the other courses that he created on his, with his foundation, the Vesca Institute. And nowadays, I focus primarily on remote healings and remote frequency medicine. And I do that in a couple of ways. One way is through a very powerful sound therapy device called the AMI 850, which stands for Acoustic Meridian Intelligence. And I give Dr. Gilbert credit for introducing me to that device and to the owners of that company and the inventor, Mundara Cromwell, who is now a good friend of mine. So I'm a licensed Cymatherapy practitioner. Cymatherapy is a homage to the word cymatics, which was coined by researcher Hans Jenny. And basically, cymatics is the study of sound made visible. In other words, I'm sure many of your listeners have seen when you vibrate a plate, like a metal plate, with powder or some kind of substance on it, it creates geometric patterns.
Yeah.
And then you keep increasing the frequency, and all of a sudden it gets scattered, and then there's another pattern of coherence, and it just keeps happening. And so Cymatherapy is rooted in that science, but instead of using random frequencies, they use frequencies that are based on the sounds that cells make in a healthy state, and then reapply those to the body. So the device was designed to be used in person with your feet on these two water-based gel pads, and then the sound codes travel through your meridian pathways. But what we've discovered recently is that we can also use it remotely with a lot of success. And basically what that entails is me printing off somebody's photograph or vibrational witness, placing it on the device, and then running one of the channels. There's 20 channels ranging from stress to musculoskeletal pain, inflammation, support for every major system in the body, etc. So I do that. And then more recently, through some collaboration with some other friends that we were trading Akashic Record readings, which is something I'll talk about in a minute. Some codes came through, and I've been transmitting bioenergy to help people clear their energy fields from their aura to their nervous system and their chakras. And Caroline got to experience that, so I'm sure we'll talk about that too. So I use, really what it comes down to is I use the same spectrum of life force energy in different ways to help people reach healing in different ways. And then I also do Akashic Record readings as well.
Exactly. Thank you. I think we can talk about it right now because the first healing I received from Randall was through the AMI. Do
Yes.
you so you just take the picture and you don't like have to initiate it or something, like you just take the picture and you put it on the device, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So that's pretty easy. Yeah. So just like in biogeometry, you can use the same technique actually. So
precisely.
yeah. So that was the first one, which was very like calming and very like, yeah, calming and peaceful and just like, like it felt like I like a spa treatment, I guess. Like you're just like, it's not like super super zen or like you didn't like I didn't get like sleepy or something, but it was just like, yeah, this is I can live like this.
It's very subtle, right? Subtle but noticeable.
Exactly, exactly. And then the second session we did was that you were channeling the energies, and we also did some Akashic Records question answer, like a Q&A basically, which I love the I love the exchange that we had because whatever I was perceiving simultaneously, like a second or 2 seconds later, you were like, oh yeah, I'm working on that and I can see this and this theme. I'm like, okay, like, did he read my mind? Or I'm like, what is going on? And it's funny because I have been working with energies for like such a long time. Like, what do you read, 2025? 7.5, almost 8 years. And it still blows my mind if it works, which is, it's a lot not logical because I've been working with energies that often for such a long time, but I'm still like positively surprised when it works because I'm just like a results girl. So I really like if I can feel it and not just like see it energetically or like, you know. So I can still, as a spiritual girly, I like that I feel the results, that I like see evidence that it works. Although I know that it works, but it's still very nice to have it. And yeah, the healing went quite deep. The answers were very fitting. A lot of the answers were, or no, like I would say like 50-50 of the answers were like stuff I already knew, but it was just like not very consciously knowing it. So that it was more of a reassurance of, hey, do that, do this, stop doing that. And the other 50% were like really new information for me, as the healing was very deep. You were able to focus on different organs, which then represent different themes. So that was quite cool. And I always tell this to my clients. You didn't tell me, but energy healings can cause some physical changes as well. So some people get diarrhea, some people start vomiting, some people get very tired or feel the urge to like eat a lot or not eat at all. And I just went like not even 24 hours later, I went into a really good cleansing process to say that, where I first thought that I had food poisoning. But yeah, I guess maybe it was like a little bit of food poisoning, or the food poisoning happened so that the cleansing can start. But that was a very interesting experience, and another like result that it worked. And yeah, I think I should add that healing is not always comfortable, let's say like that. And yeah, sometimes like physical stuff can actually happen. So yeah, I
That's
always
a very
ask
important
this.
point to bring up. Yeah.
I always ask the people I interview, like, what were like the two, three key moments in your life that actually brought you to your healing work?
Well, I kind of describe them as part of my origin story with that fateful trip down to Peru. That really changed my life forever. And the trajectory that I'm on is ultimately what inspired me and moved me to leave a job that I'd worked at for 8 years, that I hated the work, but I love the people that I work with. And the people that I work with are really what kept me there, but also the safety and the comfort of a well-paying job. But at a certain point, I got to just had the realization that I couldn't keep doing this, and my happiness and my soul's mission are way more important than just a paycheck. I didn't come here to just live the quote unquote American dream. As far as anybody else in my life was concerned, I already was. I had gotten a degree from college, successfully graduated, and had a well-paying job that afforded me the lifestyle that I wanted, but not the sense of satisfaction that I think we're all looking for on some level. And so, yeah, I mean, I would say everything comes back to that trip to Peru and that those sessions with ayahuasca.
What would you
Um,
say are like the key changes you, not that you did, but like happened once you decided to follow that path of healing or like being a healer, let's say like that?
well, it's really rewarding when I can help people, and you know, quite frankly, there's still some resistance that I'm working through to, you know, fully embrace that part of myself. And I think some key things that really help me embrace the work, like the energy work that I do on my own, not just using an external device or external tools, was I give free sample sessions of the remote Cymatherapy to people, and then my guides were really pushing me to do the energy work and the like clear people's chakras to show them and to show myself that it's possible. And multiple people have told me that they feel that more than the device, which honestly blew my mind and surprised
It
me.
was the
And
same
so
for me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so that's confirmation for me. And then um you and I are both seeing the same visuals in our head of what's coming through for me to like bring through for you. That stuff blows my mind and just
Yeah.
reinforces the connection that I have with clients in their energy field.
And mind you,
So the
I'm in Switzerland and you in the US. It's not like we're roomies like back in Geneva. So
right, yeah, we're on the other side of the planet.
exactly. Yeah. What have been like the results with the people you have worked with?
I work with a woman who was dealing with severe mold poisoning, and it really wrecked her lungs, and she's still in the process of healing from that. But um, she also lived in Vegas as a DJ for a number of years. And when we were working together, I was doing the clearings with her, and I just felt a ton of density when I was pulling it out of her field. And she reported that she felt much lighter afterwards, and also and much safer too, which was interesting to me. But she's like, I think that you pulled some entities out of my field. I felt like there was some darkness around me, and so that I always it's always really rewarding for me when I can help, especially women, feel safer after a treatment and relaxed and less stressed. That's been a common theme. People feel so much less stressed after we do the energy field clearings. And then we also, in her case, I was guided to work on her lungs because we had discussed that prior. But I mean, I'm just like firing this energy like a beam of energy at her lungs, and her guides are like instructing me where to go. And I usually kind of just sweep over the organs, and
Yes. Yeah.
they're like, no, you need to keep working this specific area. I was like, okay, well, just guide my hand in it. So I'm just going back and forth on the bottom of my lung, on the bottom of her lungs in my mind's eye. And I didn't even think anything of it. But when I told her that, she's like, yeah, that's where they said all the damage is at. And so, yeah, the little
It's
moments
the
like,
confirmation that it
yes,
works.
it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So,
I think really felt really good for you to get that info from her.
for sure, for sure. And, she's it's still an ongoing process. I don't think that, at least at this point in our evolution, we can't just heal someone instantaneously, especially for something that she's been dealing with for years.
Yeah.
And we're talking about doing some more work with the AMI when the time is right. So I think that she'll make a full recovery eventually. But even after just that one session, she remarked about how much better she could breathe too, and how much more energy she had after that in the days. Um, your story also reminded me of her story, that there was a little bit of a detoxification process that happened with her too.
Oopsie.
And yeah, and then that information came through from her guides too. When,
Yeah.
like, because she checked in with me the next day and told me that, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh no, what did I do? But
Yeah.
it's just the body releasing those toxins.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
I just had a question in mind, but I was so focused on your story that it flew away. Aha, yes, I wanted to ask you because in my session we were receiving the exact same information. Are you, because I am more of someone like a visual healer, like that I see pictures or like I find myself in like a movie sequence or stuff like that. How, like, what clear sense do you have, like, mostly? Usually I'm missing German words and not English words. Now it's the exact opposite. Um, yeah, what's like, I guess let's formulate
Yeah,
it.
I understand
Okay,
your
yeah.
question. So I think that on some level we all have all the clairs,
Mm.
but obviously we start out with some that are much stronger. Without really knowing it, I've always had a strong sense of clairaudience, so hearing.
Mm.
There was so many times growing up when I was just, a kid, I would be thinking something and then somebody else would say it. I was like, hey, they stole my thought. But it turns out I was hearing their thought before they said it.
Ah, yeah.
And so a lot of times the information comes through audibly. And but like when I'm working on someone's energy field, I'm visualizing it in my mind's eye. And so, when I was working on that client's lungs, I could actually see the dark spots in her
Mhm.
lungs. And another client, she was dealing with heavy metal toxicity in her liver, and I could literally see the dark spots that needed attention.
Okay.
And between that and then clairsentience, actually like feeling the energy too.
Yeah.
And so it all kind of comes through however it needs to. So like when our energy fields are connected, or when my field is connected with the client that I'm working with, it didn't surprise me at all that we were both seeing the same thing. But it's always exciting to hear
Yeah.
that because even healers, we need that confirmation.
Yeah. We are just physical beings.
Yeah,
So
yeah, we're still humans.
we also like the reassurance and the confirmation. Interesting, because I am not, like, as I said, I'm more of a visual person. What just came to my mind because I commented on someone's TikTok about synesthesia,
Hmm.
and she was all about like, yeah, basically, if I hear sounds, I see colors as well. And then I commented because other people were commenting about their witchy gifts, let's say it like that. So I commented that I can actually taste cancer, which is interesting because I, like, number one clear sensation is like the vision, and then is taste for me.
That's really
Like taste
interesting.
and smell kind of like together, I guess.
Yeah,
And this is not like this skill of tasting cancer, I guess you can call it, has only been activated because I had so many family members with cancer.
right.
And through that, I got the feel for it, or like, I guess, the taste for it. So yeah.
What
Have
does
you,
cancer taste like? I'm
it's
just
very
curious.
chalky.
Chalky?
Yeah, but it's like different. If you think about like magnesium,
Hmm.
magnesium is more of a crystal chalk,
Right.
and cancer is more of a powdery, like if you just bit into a wall. That's how cancer tastes for me, at least, you know?
Interesting.
So, and what I also commented is that you can actually detect, and that's not only with cancer, but you can detect the illnesses way before they actually are in the physical body. So, around 3 to 5 years, plus minus. And sadly, I've always been right with tasting cancer.
Yeah.
So that has been an interesting road. Can you remember like I don't think like tasting cancer is like funny, but like it's like a quirky skill, I guess. Something
Hmm.
that you have now connected to your healing abilities. or like a memory you had that happened
Hmm.
to you?
Well, I mean, really, for me, that revelation that all those times when I've just been able to finish someone's sentence, or like people will always be looking for a certain word, and I can come up with it for them because
Yeah,
like I'm picking
okay.
it up. It's like in their field, they just haven't brought it in yet, and
Yeah.
I
You're
can like
like,
sense it.
let me take that for
There it
you.
is. Here you go. Here it is.
Okay,
Uh,
amazing.
yeah. Another time is actually like projecting bioenergy. I remember the first time that I realized like, oh, I can actually do this. I was sitting with my girlfriend on the couch at the time. It was right after we'd taken the initial biogeometry training. This is the first time I had any premonition or understanding that it was even possible to send energy. And so I was just charging up my heart center and then feeling that energy going out of my arm in like through my palm chakra. And she was just talking mid sentence and she just like froze and couldn't even focus on her words because she's like, it just feels so good. I was like, whoa, that's working. I'm doing it.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was in person, but it's a whole nother, it's a whole nother animal when you're doing it with someone on the other side of the
Yeah.
planet or
Yeah.
someone in Australia.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Um, what I also want to talk about, because you mentioned that you also work or like started to work more with the Akashic Records. I told you that before. I just want to mention it again on the podcast because I feel like someone needs to hear that you do that you work with the Akashic Records. The Randy does I guess like free Akashic Records question session, whatever you want to call it, or like also with the cards that you lay out cards for
Yeah.
people's questions, which has been amazing to read through. I've never like sent in a question myself, but like when I feel into the answer you're giving that person, it's like full of energy and is so well resonating to what I feel when I read their question. Because like if you read their question, you're already connected to their energy field. So I get my own download to say for that person. So yeah, I've been really loving to just like read through your answers, or it's all you. It's basically you're the typer, but the Akashic Records answers for their questions. So if anybody feels that they need they need someone to access their Akashic Records, Randy is your guy, the man of the hour. Yeah, let people know where they can find you. What are like the main offerings you have right now, and in what kind of situations should people book you, basically?
Okay. Great questions. All of my services are, you can find them in my link tree. If you just search Linktree dash
It's
for
gonna be in the
Etherson.
caption. I'm gonna put everything
Yeah, yeah, you'll have all the
in the
information.
episode.
Just
Yeah.
check out my link tree. I'm most active on Instagram. That's hopefully going to change in the coming days and months. This Mercury retrograde has just got me like, but yeah, follow me on Instagram for Ethers. Again, the number 4 ETHERSVM is my Instagram. So for vibrational medicine, but I love helping people who are goal oriented. They're on a mission and they're on a mission to heal themselves in whatever way that requires. So, if they are dealing with mental and emotional anguish that is keeping them from reaching their highest potential, I have ways to help them with that. Physical pain that's debilitating and stopping them from being, yeah, I love helping people optimize who they are holistically so that they can go out and serve humanity because it takes us all.
Makes sense. If the whole world would be listening to you right now, what would you say? Do you maybe have advice?
Ooh,
No
let's see if I can.
pressure.
No pressure, just advice for the whole world. Let's tap in and see what comes through.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Hmm. Don't get caught up on the small details. Just keep moving forward. I think that might have been for me,
I just wanted to
apparently.
say, are you talking to me?
Oh yeah, apparently that's what we need to hear in the moment. So
Yeah. Can you can we do a more of a Akashic Records now for the people who are gonna listen to this episode? That you're not just gonna to elaborate more on the message that they need to hear right now.
sure.
So for basically everyone, there's a message for everybody who's gonna listen to this podcast episode. So grab your pen and paper or your notes app in the phone. Not while driving, but this is a message from you, for you, from you, for you.
So it's always interesting when these messages happen because even when I'm doing those Akashic card readings on my Instagram, I'm like, really, this is what they want me to say? But it always resonates with people. And again, I appreciate your confirmation that you feel that energy connected. But um, the message that kept coming through was just stick to what got you where you are today. So let me see if I can tease a little more out of that and
I
see
feel
if
a lot
it'll
of
elaborate.
belly energy going on right now, which is taking action,
Yes.
physical action. We are physical beings for a reason. So we all love the spiritual world. We all love educating ourselves. But please, and that's my sentence for the world, put the stuff you learn into action. Otherwise, there's no usage for it if you don't use it. So take action
Yes.
on your spiritual wisdom.
Otherwise, we just get caught up in our heads.
Mm.
There's a line from the Tao Te Ching which says, "Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water." In other words, we still have to attend to our physical bodies because they
Yeah,
are the temple, the vessel for our our souls.
exactly. And the
So,
better care you take of yourself, the better messages, the grander messages actually can come through. So yeah.
right. So let's see if there's anything. Yeah, don't overthink it. Just remember what works for you and take action on it.
Mm.
Again, I feel like I might have pulled that through for myself, but I
Well,
guess if anyone's listening to this, they resonate with me. So
exactly, it will. And I think if for everybody listening until here in the interview, they are gonna resonate because there's always a reason why they clicked on this episode, why they feel like, hey, I actually want to listen to this guy and this girl. And yeah, I just like what is coming through is something that my guides have been telling me I should be talking on social media, which I haven't gotten around it. But to the subject of nothing happening as a coincidence, like everything you're doing right now, first of all, it doesn't have to make sense. Intuition doesn't make sense. and everything is like building like a brick on your for your wall, I guess, of your path. If you're not looking at the at your life path on like a walk, but like more of a wall, it's brick by brick you are actually building who you are becoming. Because back, like a few years back, I was working as a flower delivery person, and they were paying minimum wage. Besides the point, I asked myself, hey, why actually did I have that job? Like, what was the higher purpose? Now, last year, I started working with them, which paid big buck, and I was able to create content for them. Because besides being a healer, I also create like ad videos, like content for brands, and different pay bracket. And I actually was able to build a really good relationship with the owner. They also like their child was born very closely to when my son was born, so that was also interesting. But that's just like a very simple example of that everything that happens like has a reason. As shitty as it may be, like you never get a challenge handled, like you never get a challenge handed that you can't handle.
Right. I love that. And
Because
it's so, yeah, it's so true. Finish your thought. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, I just like with my general theme of miscarriage, like I was not to be like, if I think about it rationally, I was not ready to carry that mental, emotional, and physical pain that miscarrying my first pregnancy brought me, but it built me into this person I am today. And I know that this happened because it had to. Like, besides signing up with my spirit baby, like a soul contract, but this challenge was handed to me because I was actually able to handle it. I didn't have the tools. I more or less had the tools before, but through the process, I actually learned how to handle it. And now I'm teaching women how to handle it better. So
Right. Right.
there's always a benefit, not only for you, but for so many more people in you having a painful experience as well. So, yeah, what did you want to say?
I just wanted to echo your sentiment and agree with everything that you just said, because it definitely holds true for me from the trauma that I experienced in my childhood that ultimately led to me seeking out ayahuasca.
Mhm.
And, without that incident, I might not be where I am today
You
and
wouldn't
doing
be
what I'm
helping
doing.
people now. Yeah.
Yeah, not in the
Because
same
there
way.
was never, exactly, because then there would never have been the need for you to learn the things, the healing
Right.
methods.
Yeah. And even my engineering job that I did not enjoy, I still like engineering as a whole. And just learning about civil engineering, which is basically the infrastructure that separates first world living conditions from third world living conditions.
Mm,
Learning that, and also being involved in the construction trades the last 2 years, wow, to support my healing business while it takes off. That
yeah.
all has a purpose too, because I've learned in other readings that it is part of my dharma to help design and create heart-centered communities with these
Mm,
buildings that are built to sacred proportions and dimensions that we learned about in biogeometry,
exactly.
plugged
Yeah.
into the ley lines of the earth, but without the understanding of those systems and those processes related to construction and engineering, that would be a lot more difficult for me
Yeah.
to achieve.
And through, like, while you were at that job, you were educating yourself on like spiritual stuff a lot. Like, I remember when we had a phone call once, I don't remember what year it was, but basically you manifested, physicalized this huge bonus. Do you
Yeah,
remember? And I was like,
did.
okay, this guy. has some skills. I think it was like you were practicing the Joe Dispenza meditation.
Correct. Yeah, one of the
Were you doing
meditations.
anything else to that?
No, I was just waking up every morning at 4:30 a.m. and doing that meditation and then
Mm.
going about my day and working out. And I was just focused on like 20 grand, 20 grand, 20 grand, and not trying to get hung up on how it was going to come through. But at my engineering job, the most I'd ever received for a bonus was $5,000, which blew my mind. Like I was super grateful for that. I remember
Mm.
the first year I worked there, and then I said, "Yeah, your bonus is $1,200." I was like, "Are you kidding me? That's so much money!" I was so excited, and then
Yeah.
so you can imagine me being blown away when I walk in for my interview review, and he's like, "Well, we had a pretty good year, and your bonus is 20 grand." I was like, "You are shitting me! 20 grand!" The
Yeah.
exact number that I was calling in.
Yeah.
But
I think next to the meditation, that's why I asked you the question if you did anything else. You were practicing being aligned with what you know a lot. Like you were doing also a lot of energy work, maybe not as consciously as you said actually, but you were going to the trainings. Like you also went to the summer con. Do they call it the summer conference?
yeah, yeah, the the last in-person summer conference that Dr. Gilbert put on, yeah,
Yeah. Was
in
that
India.
in 2019?
It was, yeah, it was that
Yeah.
summer.
Okay, yeah. And funny fact, actually, I think I told you that, yet what I remember is that my friend Anna, which is also from the US, she went to that same summer conference, but you two never met. And when I
Right.
was talking to Anna last week or 2 weeks ago, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna interview you. Like, you know, the guy you didn't meet, but he was also at the conference. She's like, oh yeah, that guy. So yeah, she actually knows you by just me talking about you. So that's
By proxy, huh?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, funny coincidence. I don't like the word, but yeah, she also studied biogeometry with Gilbert. So yeah,
Oh,
this was a very heart opening. I love the Akashic Records. Download the message. I hope everyone took out their pens and papers or at least their note apps. And again, put it into action and don't overthink it. Any last words, Randy?
thank you, Caroline, for having me on your podcast, and thank you to all your lovely listeners for tuning in. And if anyone is seeking guidance through the Akashic Records or any healings or activations that would want to come through one of my, I call them custom vibrational healing sessions, um, check out my link tree and feel free to reach out to me. Follow me on Instagram. I'm at a point now where I can answer my DMs. So if you have a question, just reach out to me. I love talking about these topics.
Amazing. Thank you everyone for tuning in on Spotify, or if you're watching the video on YouTube, go and hit the follow, subscribe. It's yeah, the like and subscribe button. If you're on Spotify, go rate the show. It helps the podcast to find more people can find the podcast and therefore listen to great people, great interviews, just like Randy. So thank you and hear you very soon.